Okay, good evening everyone. Welcome, welcome. We are live on YouTube, and give me just a minute. We're going to go live on Facebook. And so as you're jumping on, give me just a second to get everything on Facebook going. Make sure we can get it up and running. Hey Deb, how are you? So give me just a minute. I'm trying to make sure Facebook is working. Hey Cheryl, Waxahachie, you're not that far away. Awesome. So I'm trying to get Facebook up and going, so give me just a minute. Welcome, welcome everyone. Facebook's giving me a hard time. Yes, I'm in Texas too. I'm over close to Weatherford. The address is Weatherford. Hey Jameson, how are you? I'm trying to get Facebook to work, and wouldn't you know, it's giving me a booger of a time. So hang on and let me make sure I can. It may just want exactly 7:30. Facebook is that way. It's one of those deals that it wants exactly what it wants, and there's no going around it, unfortunately. So hang on one second. Let's see if it'll do it now. Hey Linda, Julie, Christy. Hey, Cedar Creek Lake. And where is that at? Streaming. And it will not connect my video. Of course not. Copy. It is not. It says I'm streaming, but I'm not. Jameson, can you run out? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's connecting. It's connecting now, I think. It just wanted. Okay, it should be live on Facebook, so somebody will have to comment and let me know. It's been a while since I did this, so naturally, when you know, something would pop up. Who knows? All right, so Fletcher, Oklahoma. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. New Hampshire. Hey guys. So boy, it's been a crazy couple of months. I haven't been on. I apologize. It's just been really busy. As some of you know, when you're a small business and you pretty much do everything, it can get overwhelming. And then trying to do these is, you know, something that you have to plan and do. So anyway, you found me. All right, Patsy. Hey. I don't know where Fletcher, Oklahoma is. Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and some other surrounding, but I'm not familiar with that one. So, hey Cindy. So, from Tulsa. All right. So tonight I'm going to give you a quick preview of some of the pieces that I had at the show. I didn't even get time to this. I'm talking about the Glass Expo that was in Las Vegas a little over a week ago. I didn't even get to see the show. I was that busy that I was in the booth, except for when I went up on stage and demoed. And gosh, the good thing is I didn't spend any money, but I would have liked to have seen things. So anyway, so I'm going to flip down, show you what we're going to do tonight, pull out a couple of samples, and then on the next time I do glass, we'll go over more detail of the new technique that we did. But this was something easy and simple, and I felt like the stenciling on the prismatic base, because of the fact it's simple, that anybody can do it. You don't need to know how to paint. That's why I wanted to show that to you tonight again. We've done it before, but we have a lot of new people. Okay. Hey, from Calgary, Alberta. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to switch over my camera, and I'm going to go to the overhead, and it'll take just a minute for it to switch over for you. Okay. So these are the pieces we're going to do tonight. I had these videotaped, and my recorder did not do my voice. So guess what? You guys get to see it live tonight. So this is the Prismatic Textured Sand. It's hard to get it to show up on camera, but can you see it just sparkles and twinkles? So there's sand, our prismatic sand that's in the base on this, and I'll explain more of that in a minute. And then it determines on what size frit you put over it. You get different textured finishes. Now, this of course is not food safe because it is texture. Okay, you've got bumps on there. If you want it food safe, there is a way to do that, and I'll talk about that towards the end. Okay, I can't see any questions on Facebook, so I don't know. I'll have to go back and answer them, guys, if you're on Facebook and you're asking something. Okay, I apologize. This is another one that I did a while back, and it's the prismatic. It does have some brushwork on it, using the sumi brushes and then some of the black detailing. So this is just the simplistic way of doing it. Okay, so all of you probably saw the horse that I teased you guys with on Facebook before the show. This guy here, and let me think, scooch back just a little bit more. So this has got the paste, and then all I did was, I think people thought I painted all these lines. This is just stringers. So while the paste is wet, you put it through a stencil, and I've got a video, so go check it out. I mean, like within the first 6 minutes, you'll understand how to do it. But it was just a very fun, it was eye-catching, and it's something, like I said, that anybody can do. You do need to get the brush that I use, which is the 1426, the 1 inch, and we have a 2-inch one of it, and that makes it nice to put the paste on. But this was a hit at the show. Everybody just loved it. Okay. And then, so that one left, you know, with texture. This one that I'm going to show you, it has some texture, but not as much. Move that light. So there is a little bit of texture. You can kind of see the matte finish when I tilt it a little bit. If you want this food safe, all you have to do is sift over it with clear powdered frit or cap it, either one, and it's good. But this was all done with the paste, the no fire, low fire piping paste, tinted with some of the color concentrates on this particular piece. This also is a video on YouTube, so be sure and check it out. Pretty simple. I did add some strokes because I can't just leave just a stencil alone. So check that one out too. It's fun. And then I'll show you these charts real quick, and then we'll get started. Now these are huge, but I call them a storyboard. So this is the white paste, the black paste, and how you can tint it is what I'm telling you around the edges. There's pictures of this on Facebook that you can download the chart. So I use Designers to tint it with, which is the strongest pigment you're going to get. I used color concentrates here. I used color strokes, which some of you may not even know about. I used the GT, which is the toxic, the red, yellow, and orange. They don't work because they need to be vented, and when they're encapsulated in the paste, they don't work. But if you need that color, I guess you could do it. The sparkles work, and then the regular G series. So it doesn't matter what products you have in your little studio, you can do it with any of it. There's just multiple ways to do it. So Facebook is not working. It shows that I'm live on Facebook. That's strange, but thank you for telling me. Let me hit the go live and see if it'll. It says that I'm live, but maybe they changed something since give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So Mr. Erickson, can you go back and look at that and make sure that I'm up there? Because now it does have the comment section up there. So, and then here is another one. So I did those on white pieces. I just took a 12-inch circle and cut it into 8. This one I did on clear, put it on an ivory background so you can see if you wanted something behind it. Same colors and everything, but just another way of doing it. And I used the paste to do the writing around the edge. So this is a storyboard. These are out there on Facebook, and you can download those. And I will make a PDF of them with more details about that as soon as I have 5 seconds to do it. Okay. It says there's 11 people watch, 14 on Facebook, so hopefully it'll be. This is another one of them. It's using the copper with the paste. I mean, so there's so many different things you can do. You can texturize it, more texture, and multiple colors. I mean, there's all different kinds of things that you can do with it. One of the ones that fascinated people was this particular one. Can you see the sparkle on that? So this is through a stencil with 2 colors, and then I sifted the silver sparkle over that paste mixture while it was wet, which is kind of cool. This one I just swiped it on and then stenciled on top. So there's all kinds of things you can do with that technique. You can cap it. This is on white, and you can cap it there. Okay. All right, so let's get started on these projects. All right, I'm going to start with the turtle. All right. So what I've done is, in order to do that, because you can't just stencil just on glass. Okay. It just doesn't want to stay on there. Okay, that's your hint. It does not want to stay on there. So what you have to do is create a pour, and I like to cut another piece slightly larger, 1/4 of an inch, to kind of give it a frame. I think it makes a nice, and I tend to work on white. You can do it on clear also. I have a little piece here that I just used clear glass, and I had some excess and I put it on there. And like this one, whatever I do on it, I'm just going to lay it on this piece and make just a little, it could be on a little card you give someone or on a little easel. I mean, there's so many things you can do with it. Okay, so I think you can kind of see the texture. Let me tilt that. So it's got a rough texture to it. That gives us a tooth that we can work on. Okay, to get that, you have to do a pour. The pour is the Prismatic Textured Sand base. So our sand, and there's a formula right here on the bottle. And on YouTube, I put a link to the textured sand at the very top. It should be pinned so you can see that. Okay, people are starting to come on. Sorry guys, Facebook was giving me a pickle of a time. Gingers and Stephen, Judy, Leah. Okay, great. So it's 3 teaspoons of the Prismatic Sand to 4 teaspoons of a enamel, whatever color. I like to use white, then I can use anything on top of it, no matter what I do. And then 6 teaspoons of your layering mix. And the key to this mixture is the word layering mix. Layering mix means you can layer on top of it. So you mix, and I'm not going to do this because I have another video out there that shows you mixing it, pouring it on. And if you're not familiar with pours, you basically mix everything in a cup, pour it onto the glass, roll it around, get it even, and then keep it level, because otherwise your mixture is going to move to one end. Let it dry 24 hours. It's hard as a brick, and you're ready to paint on top, whatever type of painting you want to do, whether it's brush strokes or if you just want to do the stencil that I'm going to do here today. Okay. All right, let me double check. Is the paste the same as the medium that comes with the kit? If you're talking, Lisa, on YouTube, if you're talking about the paste kit, yes, it is that paste. So we have it in black and we have it in white, and it's the low fire, no fire piping paste that I was showing earlier. Melissa says she's excited to learn this technique. Awesome. Okay, so there is a, and if you don't know, on YouTube, there is what's called playlist, and I have a playlist that's for Prismatic Textured Sand. Go check it out. Start on the first one, and you'll see me pour it, and then I did a hydrangea. There's different ones out there. I think I did a poppy, a yellow or an orange poppy, quite a few different ones. Okay, someone asked some things on YouTube. You're on Facebook, live on Facebook. It's there. Okay. Debbie, I was on Facebook, now here. All right. Well, sometimes Facebook, it acts weird, and there's a lot of interruptions. If I've missed your question, I'll try to get it. Are the color concentrates the same as powder? No, the color concentrates is what we're going to use tonight. Okay, they're a translucent underglaze that's from my ceramic side of the business because I have ceramics, glass, and brushes. But we found a way to use them on glass, and they're cheaper than the enamels. I'm going to be honest with you. They go a lot further. So if you're just starting, this is a great way to start, other than you do need an enamel to do the base with. Even if you just get the white, I would get a 2 or 4 ounce. We have the sand in a small jar or in the pint, and then the layering mix is 8 ounce or pint. So that gives you a start, and then there's different kits with the concentrates in it. Like here's kit number 1, and it's got 14 colors, or you can pick them out individually. Okay. All right. So I've got this poured. It's been dried 24 hours. If you were going to paint, you could transfer a pattern, and I talk about that in one of the other prismatic videos out there. Okay. So I've got my turtle here, and what I've done is, because it's got other things, I've taken painter's tape and taped off the stuff that I don't want, because you come in here with a big brush, and before you know it, you're over onto something else, and you've transferred something you didn't want. Okay. Need to get the color concentrates. They're nice to be able to enhance. They're called CC enhancers on the glass, because they enhance your glass. So what I'm doing is just kind of looking. It's hard to tell where the edge of this is, but I want to kind of make sure I've got it somewhat centered at an angle. So put his nose up to here, and then his tail down, and I'm just going to tuck that piece of tape there so that it's nice and in place. Okay, I guess I should leave this one down so you can see it. All right, now what we want to do is, oops, my tape just came loose. We'll put a new piece. Once you wash your stencils, then your tape doesn't have as much sticky on it, so that's probably what happened. All right, we'll get it on there. Okay, so you can see that it's there, right? So I'm going to take out some color concentrates. They are thixotropic, which means they congeal in the bottle. The more you shake or stir them, they liquefy. So you'll think your bottle's empty, but it's not. This is the 2 ounce size bottle. If you're just starting, the 1 ounce, the kits can be in 1 or 2 ounce. You can choose which one it is. This is a 1 ounce and 2 ounce. We also sell them in pints, but for glass people, you're never going to need them in a pint, I guarantee you. So you can hear me shake it. Okay. So I'm going to put just a little bit out, maybe nickel size. Doesn't take that much. That is CC 160. And then I'm going to use CC 161 green leaf, which is the next shade darker. Same thing, about a nickel size. And then I'm going to use LE Aqua Splash. This one says LE instead of CC because it was a limited edition color 25 years ago, and we weren't sure if we were going to be able to continue to get the raw materials to make it, but so far we have. So instead of changing the name, it's one of the CCs, but it is called LE. And then I used Deep Cerulean, CC 152. Same thing, shake it. I know I'm not supposed to hit my hand. This bottle is almost empty. Okay, 152. And we're going to put just a tiny bit of that out. And that's all we need right now. Okay, now the larger the brush you use, the softer the look is going to be. For this particular project, you could use, these are our stencil brushes. They are the same synthetic nylon that brush is that I use for the paste also, other than it's in a flat and these are in a round. And there's a reason why. A lot of stencil brushes are domed on the end, which means you can't get an even coverage. Some of the color may slip underneath, that type of thing. Yeah, thank you, Stephen. If you want to put a link there on Facebook. But yeah, if you just go to the enamel page, and I'll pop up the website later and show you that too. So when you have the flat, you're able to work this to the right and to the left, and you don't necessarily get it underneath the stencil like you would one of those domed type brushes. Okay, larger the brush, the softer the look. You also need a blue shop towel. Paper towels are okay, but the blue shop is better because you don't get all the little fuzzies that you get with the regular paper towel. So I'm just loading the very tip of the brush. This is the number 20. I'm going to tap that color in, and then I'm going to rub some of it off. I'm going to turn that light so you can see a little better. I'm going to do that twice because it's my first time. So I'm taking off a lot of the moisture. So what I did on this guy was I put that green on his shell. And I'm just going to kind of anchor the stencil. So I'm going right and left. And I'm going to change the camera view so that you can see this better. I think it'll make more sense if you can see it. Let's do the... There we go. We'll do it that way. Okay. So I'm holding it down. Load, wipe off some of it, and I'm going over here and I'm completely flush with the surface. I'm not at an angle. I'm going to the right and to the left, and I'm not even, you can see I'm not putting pressure like this. I'm literally just gliding on the top surface, so it's catching the texture of that prismatic pour that we put on there. Thank you, Stephen, for doing that. He gave somebody a link. And I'll go back in and put them on the Facebook feed too. I always go back and look at the questions and re-answer them just in case somebody misses something. So you see how that, and you've got just the outer, you've got it covered solid with this color. Now we're going to go to a darker one, which is the 161. We're going to load it the same way, wipe off some of the excess. And this would work, I'm going to show, I'm not going to tell you that yet. It works the same way no matter what material you're working on. So let's say you don't do glass, you don't do ceramic, if you're doing acrylics on canvas or something, they work the same way. Okay, so now I'm going just kind of around the edge of those pieces of his shell. So kind of centering the brush over the section lines so that some of it goes on each side. And I'm going to the right and I'm going to the left. Just kind of gently, I'm making a second coat of it just so I get it. And then let me lift that up. I think you can see it there on the right. So it just gives it a little bit darker, and it's more of like an ombre type look so that you're transitioning from light to dark. And you could reverse it and put the dark in the middle and do your lights to the outside. Your choice, however you want to do that. Okay. Okay, I was reading a comment, sorry. All right, so then now if I want just a little tiny bit around the edge like I did here, okay, so it's just on the edge, I can go down one size. So this is the number 16, and you can buy these are the 1428 stencil brushes. So on the website, all you have to do is in the search bar put 1428 or put stencil. The less you put in the search, the better you're going to find things. Okay, if you get really specific, you may be entering it a different way than I did, and you'll never find it. Okay, so once again, a little bit on the tip of it, and wipe some of that off. And this is new, so I'm going to load that twice, and then I'm going to go just very lightly again around that outer edge. So I'm centering over the section lines, and that allows it to put a little bit on one side and a little bit on the other side. So you could do this in browns and some red tones if you wanted more of a regular turtle, not a sea turtle. I have a niece that mentioned thought one of these would look good as a sea turtle, so she'll probably get this. She hasn't commented yet, but who knows. Okay, now I also had this color out here. Let me get it on the camera. Out here on this edge, and then I put a darker one also. And I also had the Aqua Splash out here on his, whoops, I moved it. That's why we anchor it with our finger, just in case. You never know, okay? So let's put some out there also. This is how quick and easy this is. So I'm going to circle to the right and circle to the left. And then I'm going to catch that outer area and his little tail. Grab some more of that, just what's sitting there on the palette. So you can see it doesn't take very much at all. Alright, I'm going to look for questions while I'm circling. I don't see any on YouTube. And I think Stephen is taking care of, is there a link for the brushes? Yeah, I'm by myself, but I will go back and put it. Or Stephen, if you want, or Bill, if you just do a search on 1428, you can buy the stencil brushes individually, or you can buy them as the set. So either way works. And it really depends on what size stencils you're going to work with. This is like on a 6x6. And no, I do not sell this stencil. It is, I believe this one is from Temu, T-E-M-U. I can't compete with their prices. So they have a lot of great stencils. I have a ton of them. Okay, so I'm just lightly going back over that again, just to give it another quick coat. Okay, so now the darker is the 52, the 152. And you notice I only put a little tiny tad out. Let's get that where you can see it. Itty bitty bit of it. Not even as big as a pea. Okay, so I'm going to put some of that on the brush. Wipe some of it off on my towel. Make sure I anchor. And I had this down where the shadow would be, which would be next to his body. And that outer edge of this section. And again, you can do as much or as little as you like. Everybody, you know, sees color differently. It doesn't mean my way is the right way or the wrong way. It's just the way I did it. It's just a guide to give you something to run with. There's so much that you can do with this. And anybody can do this. Because I was told, Miss Jenny told me that I needed to do things that everybody could do, because not everybody can paint like Paula. So I'm trying to be mindful of that and do things that are more simplified for you guys to start with. And then, you know, as you grow, you can do more things. And there's tons of videos out there. Okay. And I think that's all I did. So I am going to take that off. Isn't that cool? All right, I'm going to go back to the overhead camera. All right, so then what I did was I took some of these little stars, and we'll just use this one as an example, and just went with whatever color I wanted. Just make sure you don't, if you need to tape it off like I did, you know, to keep yourself from going out on top of an area, then be sure and do that. It just saves you from making a mistake. And let's put, I don't know. And you don't have to do the whole thing. You can do partials. And then if I wanted to go back and do a green one, I've still got the greens in my other brush. I just need to be careful so that I don't see here how I'm afraid that I will get on there, so I'm going to protect myself. So then I don't have to be as particular. Okay, and maybe I want another one down here. But you see how quick that is? And these colors, the color concentrates pretty much stay what you see is what you get, okay? Which is nice. With the enamels, could you paint with enamels on here? Absolutely, you could paint with them. But like I said, this is a good, inexpensive way to start. If you're new to fused glass, maybe you're a potter and you have a digital kiln and you want to be able to do some things, this is a great way to start. But I want you to look at them side by side, and you can see, yes, this is going to intensify because it's got the glass over the top of it, but the colors are pretty much the same, which is kind of nice, right? Now, what I did was I came in and I added some little accents with the brush. So I like to use the 3600 number 2 liner. And what I'll do is I'll put a blog page up that has pictures of them unfired, fired, and I'll list all the brushes and everything, colors there for you so that you have that. Okay, so I'm just going to thin down that 152, my darkest color, with the liner brush, and I can come in here and just, oh no, my phone, sorry guys, oh, I forgot to turn that alarm off. Okay, sorry about that. And then I just come in here and add some other lines. So these are just accent lines that you can add or not add. You don't have to. If you say, oh my gosh, I can't control a brush like that, then don't do it. It looked great without it. You don't have to do it. Just do the same on each side. Whatever you do on one side, do it on the other side. And remember, when you're using the brush on this, you're on a textured surface, so you've got to go really slow so that you can get it down in all the bumps. Remember, you're very textured, very bumpy. And I kind of added a little mouth and a little bit of an eye. You could sign right now if you wanted. If you were to get out of your stencil, let's say it weeped underneath and something is just not looking right, you could take a Taklon square shader, and I put water on it, blotted it off, and you could take and you could swish it back and forth and push it back where it goes. I don't see any of them. I got lucky. When I videotaped this the other day, I had some, but like even right here, this little tiny bit, you can just push it back if you need to. Another thing you can do is you can take a tool and you could scratch some of it off. Just be careful you don't scratch down to the glass. Okay, we got to name him. Okay, Stephen, you're in charge. You're in charge. And I'll probably give one of each of these away on the next live, okay, after I get them fired. So anybody else? We've got a question here, Christine. So we have to have the sand mix as for the glass. You really can't get it to stick. Okay, so if this is just glass on glass on the other side, if you try to do this, it just doesn't, I mean, it goes on there a little bit, and I'll lift it off so you can see, but it's just not the same. The intensity, because this is porous. The textured sand base is porous. This is vitreous. Nothing's getting in it, so everything just sits on the surface. So that's why, and I better take this off right now, because if I don't, I'll forget and leave it on there and it'll fire on there. When you do that textured sand pour, make sure, and I left this one, I didn't clean it up so you could see it, but you want to make sure that you clean. See how I had some that dripped over the edge and it's here? So you would just take your tool, and you can get it off. It is hard, but you can get it off. And then clean your edges, because whatever is there, whether it's color or the pour, it's going to stay there. It's there. You're going to fire it on. Do you cap this with clear before firing? I'm going to show you what I do on that, Melissa. Just hang loose, okay? Hang loose. All right, so that's pretty easy. You think you can do it, everybody? I think you can. All right, so do you want to see the butterfly? So here's the butterfly one. And this one I'm going to put on a blue glass. This will be really cool because this has, and I'm a 96 user, this has like a sparkle in it. It's really great. It's like a little fleck in there. Okay, so this one I did the same principles. I started with a mauve and went to a purple, another purple, and then a blue to the center, and I accented with black. Okay, so that's how that, and before I do that though, let me show you, if you don't want to do the prismatic sand, is there another way for you to be able to stencil and still use it with your glass? Does anybody know the answer before I tell? And I'm going to say that Mr. Erickson, you cannot answer. Stephen says yes. Oh, I should say that you can't answer. So the answer is yes. All right, so look what I've got here. This is papyrus paper. You can use thin fire, okay? This just happens to be a little sampler that I got at the show, okay? And I am going to take a piece of glass underneath me because I've got paper towels here. So this is the papyrus. I just grabbed a stencil that would fit this, okay? And I can center that on there. So now, if you don't want to do the textured sand, you can do it on papyrus or thin fire, okay? You do, if you don't hear anything else I say, you do have to fire the paper between glass a specific way. There is a firing schedule, and it's out there on the CC Enhancer page, and I'll put a link to it from the, it's like a PDF that basically shows you what to do, and I'll briefly go over it, okay? But I'm just going to use the greens that are in my brush so that you can kind of see how easy this is to do on the paper also. So let's do the same thing. Let's start in the center. So circle to the right, circle to the left. And the reason you do that is because you're catching different sides of each opening of your stencil. Okay? If you just keep going the same way, then you're never catching that other side. So like right here, I've got it darker. And let me zoom in a little bit. It's darker here, but lighter down here. And that's because I didn't go that other direction. Okay? And I noticed that there's a piece. Hold on. I have a little piece of a stencil that's caught underneath there. Yep, it made a little yucky. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the Aqua Splash. I should have used my other brush since I already had it in there. And I'm going to overlap. Circle to the right, circle to the left. Wipe off the excess. But this is an easy way to make a really cool little dish, a gift. Gosh, there's so much you can do with this. I'm just giving you, and I've got other videos on how to use the concentrates on the thin fire or papyrus. I've got some paid tutorials also, but check out, it's called the playlist is Color Concentrates on Fused Glass. So there's all different, you can tap it on if you want to try to get it in. Okay, so let's look at it before we add the next color. Is that cool? Looks like St. Patrick's Day. Oh well. I'm just using what I've got here. Okay, now see what I just did? I went outside my line. See that? It's got an area there. So I'll have to cut that off or it's going to be there. So this is why you would tape down or not get as crazy as I did. Let's get another little drop. But this is a fun way to do it too. You came in late. Well, the replay will be on here, Michelle. And you can watch it. It may be easier to find on YouTube. We're simultaneous on both. Okay. So I'm circling to the right, circle to the left. So I'm just showing them right now, Michelle, how to use the concentrates on papyrus paper that you use underneath your glass to fire it. as another option if you don't want to do the Prismatic Textured Sand base. If you're just starting, this is another easy way. I'm going to come down in here a little bit. Okay, maybe right here. All right, so I went over my stencil. That's why you would tape off all your edges. Okay, pretty cool. So you can take this and you can fuse this between glass. And I don't have, do I have a piece of clear? Doesn't matter what, but pretend this is big. Okay, you would put it over the top of it. And you would lay this down on your glass. You would sift clear powdered frit over it to start. Okay, clear powdered frit over the whole thing. Then very carefully you would, I put stringers, clear stringers in my corners and halfway. So if this was a big piece, okay, I put them here, 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 halfway on each side. Follow that firing instructions, because what happens to your paper when you fuse your glass? It turns black, it smokes, and then it goes back to white. So if you don't use the firing schedule I provide for you, you will have a big black bubble in the middle of it, guaranteed. Is there a difference in the firing schedule? Anne is asking between using 9096. Just the top temp would be the only difference, Anne. That's a great question. So where I may go to 1460, you may go hotter than that, or 14, you know. So just your top temp, and you're anneal. You need to make sure you anneal according to whatever your glass is that you're using. Okay. Great question. Okay. So powdered frit all over, stringers in the corner, put your glass down, and then, and I usually do the bottom, put it in the kiln, and then lay my stringers on with tweezers. But there is a page on the website that you can download with, it's like a quick reference guide, how to do that. If you have purchased any of our products that work on glass, we have a private Facebook group. Make sure you ask to join that group. And it is, I don't have my little sheet. It's called CFE, Colors for Earth, Glass Color Artist. Okay. All right, so that was just an extra little demo showing you how to do that. Hopefully you can use that. Check out the other YouTube CCs or color concentrates on fused glass, and that'll help you with that one. Okay. You want to see the butterfly, or you think you got it? You want to see this one? Yes, no, maybe? Are you sick of me? You done? I haven't been on for a while, so maybe you want to see some more. It's probably been 2 months since I've been on. That's awful. Awful, awful. Any other questions about what I've done so far? I'm just taking the color out of my, move that so it doesn't glare. I'm just taking the color off onto the shop towel that's on my brush so I can change colors. Okay? Or I can use another one. More. Okay. Steven says more. Coming in late. Elizabeth, you can go back and watch the replay. It's also on YouTube. So I'm starting over again on a new project, so I'll tell you the whole process. So once again, I've got my Prismatic Textured Sand base, okay, that I've poured. It's dried 24 hours, and I am going to add an extra piece of tape to tape this down. I'll wrap it around there. And this time I'm going to use CC 131 Cabernet. Again, these are the color concentrates that we also call them CC enhancers on the glass page. They are from my ceramic side of the business. They're translucent underlays, so they are a translucent. I mean, that's why you can kind of see through them. The next color is 137 Bright Violet. You want to see how it all comes together? Yeah, don't let me forget to show you the sifting and everything for the what you need to do on top of it. And then I'm going to use a CC 136 Purple Sage. Leah's saying, Paula, I have heard there can be and odor using layering mix. My kiln is in the house. Yeah, open a window. You do have to vent when you have layering mix. I haven't talked about that yet. So these pieces have to be vented. So your kiln needs to be open about a ½ inch. I try to bring everything, I have a clamshell, my glass kiln. So I try to bring it to the front or where the opening is. And I have like a little ½ inch post that I stick in there. Or if you have like one of the dams that's only about a ½ inch thick, that works. Also, just make sure that you're maybe not sitting right next to your kiln, Leah. You need it vented. You know, you need to be able to have a window open, a door open, something to get rid of those fumes. And if you even had a box fan, you could put it in front of that to pull. Don't blow the kiln. You want to blow it out of your space that you're in. So you would take the fan and put it going out to the outside, and it would suck all those fumes and things out. The next color is CC 139 Midnight Blue, and that's what that darker blue is in the center. And look at the difference. So here I've stenciled it, and then those strokes are with the same blue, but it's more concentrated, hence the word color concentrate. So there's ways to achieve different levels and different coloring of it depending on how you use it. Vented during the whole firing, up to 1100 is what I like to do. Somewhere between 1000 and 1100. And then you can close it after that. Yeah, because it just needs to burn all those organic and the stuff that's in the layering mix. And it does stink. I try to do mine at night so that I don't have to worry about that. And it's not in the house either. So, yeah, thank you, Stephen, for reiterating that. Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to grab a new brush. Again, this is the number 20, the 1428 series. It's a synthetic nylon. It's got the flat edge, so when I use it, it's not going to go underneath. You're not using it at an angle. You're using it straight up and down, okay? So we need to clean off this so we have a place. All right, so we're going to start from, I like to go from light to dark. I'm going to start with the 131 Cabernet. So I loaded the tip of the brush, I tapped the color in, and now I'm going to, let me back off so you can see that process. I'm going to wipe off some of that excess wet color onto a shop towel is what this is, if you just came in late. Okay, I'm going to start on the outer edge. I'm still, even though I've got it taped down, I'm going to anchor myself. Just because you're using a brush, if you get a hold of a little edge of that stencil, it could cause it to move. I mean, there's all different types of things. So I'm circling to the right, circle to the left, and let's go back to that side camera so that you can, those that just joined in. Okay, so I'm going to move these out of the way and move this over so you can, is that going to work? Move my palette. That may not work. I don't like that. Let's don't do that. Let's go back. Okay. We'll go back up here. So what I'm doing is just staying just on the tippy toes. And I'm circling to the right and circle to the left. Okay? And that's how I'm keeping it nice and soft. And then I'm going to grab a little bit more. Again, wipe off the excess. So I did this around the edge, and it really depends on how much you want to show. Okay, and let's get this guy back out here so you can see that. Okay, grab some of that. So it goes pretty fast. I mean, you can have it, I mean, the hardest part is letting the base dry, but you could do this on the thin fire the same way, just like I showed you on that heart. You could do the butterfly on there, or a papyrus, either one. You just, if you're going to fuse the paper between glass, you have to use that firing schedule that I put out there for you so that you can not have a big black bubble in the middle. And I don't want to confuse you by telling you multiple things, but it's, see that? Isn't that pretty? I just, you know, if you don't have one, you could do it another way. And I'm one to show you multiple ways to do things. That's what I'm all about. Came in late. Did you use the layering mix? I did. I used, so the base to this one and the turtle has the Prismatic Textured Sand base, which is the sand, enamel, and the layering mix. And that formula is written on the jar of the sand, the Prismatic Sand. And if you're on YouTube, I put a link to that one at the top. The heart stencil. All of them are from Temu that I'm using tonight, Cindy. Okay. More, please. Okay. All right. So then I'm going into the 137 bright violet, tap it in, take off some of the excess, anchor myself so that my stencil doesn't move if I catch an edge of it. And I'm overlapping. Okay. And I'm circling to the right and I'm circling to the left to cover that. So it's like an ombre effect going across. And do you see, I put out like a nickel size of these colors, and other than that dark one when I was doing that extra on the turtle, it goes a long way. This is much cheaper than the enamels. Not that I don't want you to buy the enamels, but if you're just starting, this is a great way to start, and a less expensive way. And I can't get the stencil up. See that? Kind of cool. So think about all the different things that you could do. You can even take it and kind of feather the color back like that. Put a little bit on these bod there. Okay. And then we're going to go to the darker purple, which is the 136 Purple Sage. You could do any color combination. Just start with light and go to dark. That's my rule of thumb for you. So and I'm just barely touching the surface like this. I'm not pushing down. I'm just gliding along the surface. Circling to the right and circle to the left. And I think I have the side camera I can put it on. Maybe I didn't. No, I guess I deleted it. I keep changing things. Okay. All right. Got that purple on there. Feather it if you want. You can feather it in if you wanted. Now, this blue, Midnight Blue, 139, is super, super dark. You don't need a whole lot of it. I'm going to wipe quite a bit off. I am going to start on the body and go circle right, circle left, and then come out onto the wings a little bit. And I would hold this up to the side, but it'll move on me. And then I'll show you on this one. So you can take and just kind of feather that color back, and it'll put some streaks just from the tip of the brush, which is kind of fun. See the streaks there? Kind of fun. Looks like little rays coming out from the center. Okay. And that's all there is to that. Now, you can leave it that way. You can add more. That's up to you. It just depends on what you want to do. All right. Of course, I'm going to add more. You know me, right? I'm here late. Oh, don't worry about it. You can go back and watch the replay, guys. That's the nice thing about it. It might be easier to find it on YouTube. You're going to need more paint, Anna. Well, like I said, these color concentrates, there's 3 different kits, or there's a kit of, there's 41 different colors. Kit number 1 is kind of the one that most people buy. I only put a darker yellow in there, so I would buy like 123, the lighter yellow also. Or you can pick and choose your single colors. You get a little bit of a break by buying a kit, but there are 41 colors out there. Alright, I grabbed my 3600 number 2 liner and I slightly added some water to thin that blue down. And what I did on this guy was just do some stroke. Now remember, this is textured once again, so you're going to have to go slow if you try to do stroke work over it, because it's going to skip along that texture. And let me zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. Okay, so press down, pull slowly, 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 and come to a point. So a brush stroke is a combination of color, which we have one color on our brush, pressure, and motion. So the amount of pressure will determine how large that stroke will be, and then if I back off on the pressure, it's going to get less. So press, lift, 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 and bring it to a tail. I'm trying to look at this one and do the exact same thing. So press, pull, lift to a tail. Galen's asking, can you put like a sunset with grass, then use a stencil? Sure, you could do like just a silhouette stencil. You could come in and I'll do something on that little piece where you just use the stencil brushes and put colors down and then come in and stencil over the top of it. Absolutely, you can do that. It's endless what you can do. All this is doing is giving you a tooth to work with. That's what allows. So the concentrates are catching on the top, and I have some places here that I'm going to show you how to clean up, because when you've got little tiny spaces, unfortunately it seems to go underneath there, and I was talking and not paying attention. Press, pull, and lift to a point. Got to go slow because remember, it's textured. And I have a tendency to go fast because of being able to do that on ceramics, and on this you just can't do it. But there is a playlist for the Prismatic Textured Sand out there on YouTube. And I believe I have an album that I've put these photos in on my page and on the CFE Glass Color Artist page. If you're just joining and you've bought some of our products for glass and you're not on the closed group, that is CFE, standing for Colors for Earth, Glass Color Artist. You have to answer the questions, guys. If you don't answer the questions, you're not going to get in. You got to answer them correctly, too. Okay? Hey, Melissa, how are you? Sorry, I needed a drink. Okay. I'm going to show you how to clean. So I'm just taking a Taklon brush. I dampened it. I blotted it on my paper towel. And I'm just going to swish it back and forth. And what that does, can you see that? It just basically got rid of that little bubble of color that was there. I pushed it back to where I told it to get back inside the fence. Tell it to get out of your way. You don't want it out there. And you just work it until you remove it and push it over. So there's a little bit there. Constantly wipe and clean your brush, because otherwise all you're doing is moving it around. You're not removing it. Okay? So you can do it that way. You can also take a tool and you could scrape off. There's multiple ways. I'm not going to worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. Well, thanks for jumping on and joining me tonight. It's been a while since I've been on. I added black on this one. So that is the CC 101 Cobalt Black. Again, shake any of the concentrates before you use them to liquefy them. I'm going to put a little bit out, and then I'm going to thin that black down with some water, and I'm going to load the brush. So as I'm thinning it, I'm pulling the brush out. It's like making like a little tree. So I'm pulling it, pulling it, pulling it, so that I'm coating all those hairs, and then I'm tapping it on the edge to get it to a nice fine point. Okay. And here's where you can play with it and do different things. So I came in and accented the body. But if you don't do glass, you don't do ceramics, and you want to do this on Canvas, wood, absolutely. Just use your products that you would use on there. Do the same thing with the stencil brushes that I've shown you. I'll show you how to clean them also, because you don't want to rake them in your basin. There's this particular way. If you treat your brushes correctly, they will last a long time. If you don't, then you're going to wear the hairs out, and I'll sell you another one. So I like to show you. I don't want you to have to spend more money. I want you to treat them right so that they last a long time for you. So I'm just dragging, and then I'm applying a little bit of pressure and lifting up. But do you see? I told you, you're on a textured base, so it tends to skip. So you may have to go back and go really slow over that. Okay? Hey, Gail, thanks for joining. And Melissa, you can go back and watch the replay. It's all there. So just kind of be creative with this. Whatever you feel like you want to add, you don't have to add anything. You can just do the stencil. But I would do everything on one side that you do on the other so that it does match. Go really slow. So those color concentrates just soak into that textured base that we have on there. Okay. All right, so what did I do up here? I did pressure and then lift. See how I'm going from one side to the other, trying to replicate what I just did. I'm going slow because I'm on a textured surface. I need to go slower so it'll seep down in there. Okay, so you can see. Now, to do the little antennae, what you're going to do is just drag it on the very tip, and then you press and lift to make that little teardrop. So drag it on the very tip, and then press and lift. That's called a hat pen stroke in the brush stroke world, in case you didn't know that. You can do it separately. You can do a line and then do the pressure stroke also. That's how I did it in the very beginning. Okay, so now up here, I came here, and I'm going slower, remember, because I'm on a texture, and you may have to go over it a couple of times to get it down in there. Okay, so you would just keep going. How large are my stencils? This is a 6-inch square of glass, so they're like probably 5.5 inches or so. Good question. Sorry, I didn't. You love the butterfly? I bought a packet that had, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 of them in it. So they've got, this is from Temu, and I know some people don't like to buy from them, but they do have a really nice selection of stuff, and it's dirt cheap, and I can't compete with the prices, so I'm not gonna try anymore. There's just too many. I'm gonna have to set this down to do this stroke because I'm not that good. I need to be anchored on something. Alright, so any questions on what we've done up to this point? See how I'm going from right to left, left to right? I'm trying to mimic exactly what I've got on the other side as close as I can. That doesn't mean it's going to match exact, because the stencil may not have been exact. Okay. Hey Britt, how are you? From Arizona. I must have had the time wrong. 7:30 Central Time. Always 7:30 Central. Sorry, but you can go back and watch. It's always here for you guys. All right, so we're working on top of the Prismatic Textured Sand base, which is a pour, and then I stenciled, and I'm using color concentrates for all of my design work, which is kind of nice. So if you do ceramics and glass, you can use that product on both. Yippee, save you money, right? Okay. Let's see. I did this one over here. So I kind of did them in pieces. I mean, could you go the full length? Absolutely. But because of the texture, I kind of stopped so that it just made it easier for me to work with. So I hope this gives you some ideas on some easy, quick ways. These are, you know, to decorate some pieces. Whether you're on ceramics, you can do exactly the same thing. Go back and watch the video and just, this is a ceramic product. So I'm just happen to be using it on glass. Now down here, I had to create the tail, I call it, the tip of the wing. And remember, you're on a texture, so it takes a little bit to kind of get that in there. That's why I'm going a little bit slower. Any other questions? I use a group kiln, Sue says, and I don't think I'll be able to vent the kiln. Ooh. Is it like in a community center type place? So do they have a kiln vent on it? If they have a kiln vent, that might work. Some of those do. But even the thin fire paper in the papyrus, when you fire it, stinks and fumes. So I would think that you would be able to. But if not, do it on the thin fire between the glass instead. You know, that's another way. I showed that a few minutes ago, and I'll make a blog page for you guys with all the detailed information and links to the brushes and everything, products that I used. Okay. It isn't a recreation center. Yeah, it may be something that you're not able to do there. But like I said, the firing paper puts off smoke and stinks and stuff, so maybe if you volunteered to stay there and make sure it's closed, you know, vent it, follow it yourself and do it, maybe they would let you do it. You might ask. All you can do is ask, right? All they can do is say no. Okay, so you could sign it on there if you wanted also. So now I need to talk about what you're going to do to get the texture. Okay. I did say that I would show you real quick. Let's just say that you wanted color, like a background. I think Galen was talking about it. So you could take and you could just put the color on the texture. Can you see the texture? That one's a little light. But you could do that and then come back and do a silhouette of black, or, you know, whatever you wanted. So if you wanted some green and then you wanted it to fade into that aqua, you could do that. Need to move my fingers out of the way. But yes, you could do that, and then you could put so if you wanted the hearts on top of that, then yes, you could do that. And let's just say we wanted, what color? Let's do the darker blue. And I'll try to hold this on here. It's going to be hard because it's, but you could do it with black. So circle to the right, circle to the left. But that would give you a two-tone background. See what you guys do? You talk me into doing more stuff. And there you go. Kind of cool. So if you didn't have colored glass, you know, that's another way to make a colored background and allow you to do that. Okay? Got paint all over me. All right. So let's go back to the turtle, because he's drier. What did I do with him? Okay. All right, so the finished one And once again, you can see there's not a whole lot of color difference other than the glass that's melted on there. Okay, so what you would do, I'm going to get a piece of paper, and the piece of paper is going to be so I can reclaim any that I don't use of the frit. I'm going to get a jar and I'm going to elevate the piece. You can use a couple of different sifters. Okay, this is like a 3-piece, this is bullseyes. It really just depends on what you have, what you want to use. Okay, let me double check for, you're welcome, Galen. Check for questions real quick here. There was one on Facebook and I got to scroll back up and find it. Odd question, do the bubbles come from the final firing and a result of it? Okay, that's what I'm getting ready to show you. Okay, so Applebee Art is asking that question on Facebook. So, and I forgot to pull out my other piece. This just happens to be another one that has the so what you're calling bubbles is actually frit, and you're going to understand that in 2 seconds. So first thing that we need to do, if you have your color that you're going to put underneath, and what did I do with my piece? Let's just pretend it's this green one. Okay, that's what I was going to use underneath here. All right, so I would take this and I would go as close to my kiln. I would put a mask on also. I'm not going to because you wouldn't be able to hear me as well. Okay, and I've got clear powdered frit. You want to make sure that you use whichever one, whatever COE that is yours. Make sure it's compatible. I'm going to put some powdered frit in there. And so the first thing, I stay 5 to 6 inches above it, and I'm going to back the camera off a little bit. And I just like to tap it. I'm going to kind of hold my breath. I've got a ceiling fan about 6 feet away, and it seems to be moving things. So I would do that all over. That's the first thing I would do. Okay. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to get the turtle. And I'm going to do the same thing. But I'm also going to do this a little heavier because the color concentrates that we used is a non-enamel. It has no glass in it at all. If you want it to be food safe and you want it to be glossy like glass, you have to put glass over it. And Laura is asking, do the stringers go between the glass? If you're doing the paper version, yes. It all goes between. Okay, let me finish this one and I'll go back to that one, okay? Give me just a second. I want to show this. So 5 to 6 inches up above it, I'm tapping on it, and I want you to put a lot on here to the point that, yes, you can see your color, but you shouldn't be able to see it really well. So I went across it once, I'm going across it another time. And this is pretty heavy. Pretty heavy. Okay, a little bit more right there. Okay, because you can see the colors. That way, if you had something that you needed to match, you know, putting it exactly because your striping went one way versus the other underneath it, that kind of thing. Okay, so I would put this in the kiln, my background, and this is going to be hard to do on this raised surface. Okay, then I would lay this on here, and it's probably going to poof out. Not too bad. Okay, now depending on what texture I want will determine what size frit I now am going to use. Okay, so I used medium size frit next, and that's what gave me this texture. I have a little, and I'll put a picture of it on the blog page too, but it is on the Prismatic Textured Sand page out there on the website, and I'll go to that in a minute as soon as we get done with this. So, and it also depends on the size frit and how hot you go. Okay, I went to 1345 with a, I think it was a 10-minute hold. I'll have to look. Hold on one second. So the 1345 is going to be just enough. I took a picture of it on my phone, to melt it. Hold on one second. I went to 1345 with a 25-minute hold. Okay, so I fired this 400 to 1,000 15-minute hold, and then I went 100 to 1250, and it'd probably be easier if I just showed this in the camera. So 100 to 1250, 30-minute hold, 500 to 1345 with a 25-minute hold. You can adjust that if your kiln fire's hot, cold. So the longer I hold there, enamels really need 1380. I didn't want to go to 1380 because I knew it would melt all my frit and I wanted more texture. So I just held longer to try to achieve that 1380, which it does. You need time and temperature. And then as fast as you can. Mine is 96, so I went down to 950. 900 would be your the bullseye. And then an hour. And then 100 to 701. The reason I do 1 at the end is because it will help save your relay in the long run. Okay? So we're going to pretend that this is in the kiln or right next to the kiln, because I'll usually do this on this piece before I put it on here. Okay? But I wanted to show you what it's going to look like. And I'm trying to think if I want it. So I take it, because I'm going to have to throw all this away, because there's no way to, I guess I can sift it out. And then I would put, just kind of let that fall. You want single layer. Don't build up a pile of the frit, okay? But you could put coarse, you could put fine, you could put, this is the medium. And then I have one that I called mosaic. So you could literally cut the shapes, which would be really cool, of his shell. And you could put a solid piece of clear right on those. And then maybe the fine or the medium around it. And it would be very cool. Okay. So just depending on, and if you get it built up too much, just kind of tap it down to make sure you don't have a big mountain of it, because what's going to happen is it's going to roll, and it could roll off your piece. Okay. Now I wouldn't put the medium on it with this base on, because I've got little chunks over here. I would do both the powder and the medium on that decorated piece, and then I would go set it on top of this piece in the kiln. So hopefully that didn't confuse you. What size frit did I use? I used powdered frit first. And the reason you want to do the powdered, okay, so powder all over. I did it between the glass and all over the decorated piece first, because you're using a non-enamel. That's why I did it, okay? And I wanted it shiny. And then I'm using medium. But I've done other pieces where I've done squares. I've done large. I have a great big black piece that has a pink flower on it. And I'll try to post some of those pictures on that blog page. That way you can see the different effects that you can get. But it all depends on what look you want. So let's say that you want it to be completely smooth, right? So if you do, then just take your powdered, we'll do it on this one, and you're just going to go over it the same way a couple of times, 5 to 6 inches above it. And I will dump all this off, guys, because my kiln is out in another building. So now where that black is, I'm going to go extra heavy, because I know it just like sucks up the glass big time. So I'm kind of going around where I put those black strokes. Okay, then I would set this on, I would sift this piece all over, I'd put this on here, I would full fuse it. Even after your full fuse, you're going to have texture to this. If you want it absolutely smooth, like glass, sift it again, and full fuse it again, and it'll be perfectly smooth. It'll be full fused, and it will be just smooth like this. Okay, so you can get that, especially if you want it for food surfaces, you would need to do that. Okay. All right. So does everybody understand that? And depending on what texture you want will determine what size frit you put on top. I'm going to have frit everywhere. So this is the same medium. And then depending on how hot, remember this was 1345 with a 25-minute hold. And it's nice texture, but this is medium. You could go coarse. I personally like Slumpy's coarse clear only because I have a ton of it, but it's a little bit, it's not as big as like your Spectrum or Bullseye coarse. It would be more of a medium, I think, in their range. Okay. This is great for jewelry too. Just sift it and you will have a little bit of texture. If this was like a pendant or something, you could just sift it once, put your other glass, you know, behind it. Hey, that kind of looks kind of cool on there. And you would have a piece of jewelry, and you wouldn't have, you could have texture because it's not a food surface, right? Okay, so did somebody want me to go back over the thin fire one? I think that's what Stephen was telling somebody. And I've got a cheat sheet out there. Like I said, there is a cheat sheet. So we did the stenciling here. I got outside my stencil, so I would cut that off, you know, because I don't want that in there. You could even cut around it. So let's say, that'll be kind of cool. I haven't done one like that. Well, yeah, I did. I did a piece a long time ago where I cut out every single flower. And so this was papyrus that I was using here, but you can do thin fire the same way. You can use your craft punches and punch out. I've got a video on showing that over there on YouTube. And guys, be sure and like, subscribe. If you like the videos that I do, it puts me out there in front of more people, so be sure and do that. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. That way you know if I upload or go live. Okay, so if this was going to be between glass, we'll just use it for instance. If that was going to be there, and let's say I was going to put that like that, and then maybe I was going to cap it with clear. I would probably do the clear all over. I wouldn't, this just happens to be a smaller piece. So I would put my paper down that has my color concentrates that I stenciled on there. I would sift it with clear the same way that I just did. That kind of weights the paper down. I also go one more time around the edge, about a ½ inch in. That raises the sides up to help when this burns out. It turns black and it fumes. It has to be able to get out of the middle or you end up with a black bubble. You need to fire according to my instructions, and I'll put a link out there to that or put it on that blog page tonight. Okay, so sift all over one more time around, and then I take clear stringers and I put them crossways in the corners as far out as I can get them, and then I put one on the sides right in the middle and the corners, and then I put my clear glass on top of that. We're pretending this is the full size, okay? And then you would fire according to that full fuse schedule, but it's modified with extra bubble squeezes and time to allow all that to get out of there. Okay, any questions on that before I flip the camera? I have made a mess. So if you put a piece of paper underneath you, at least you can reclaim it. Well, I'm just going to throw it away, but that allows you to save. So I do all my powdered, and then I come back and do my medium so that I can save the excess. Okay, we're good. All right. Hi. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's see. We've got one more question. Can you do papyrus stenciling using the G series? You know, you can try it. I haven't done it. These are cheaper. But if you've got the G series, absolutely. You could paint on the paper, because the paper, you can stamp on the paper. I've got videos on that. The paper is absorbent, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. But yeah, no matter what you use on it, just make sure that you do that firing schedule that I put out there for you, because it took me a while to achieve that trial and error with anything. Okay, good question. You are welcome. All right. It was good to be back with you guys. I'm excited. Next week I'll do something on ceramics, and then I try to go back and forth, and then I'll throw a brushstroke thing in there every now and then. But next week we may go back and do a live demo of what I did at the show. I know Tabitha, if you haven't seen the video, I put it on my page too. She did it towards the end. She started in our booth, and then at the end she came back to the booth, and I did a quick demo of the paste technique. So check that out if you haven't. You are welcome. Does your ceramic medium work with other underglaze brands also? When you say ceramic medium, are you talking about the color concentrates, which are translucent underglazes? You know, we say don't mix and match, Deborah, but as long as you test it, you know, if you're putting down a solid coat. So I have a translucent and I have an opaque. So, but message me, and if it's something specific, I'll be happy to help you. Okay? All right. Yeah, go look at all the different videos, and look at that video that we did, or Tabitha did. Like I said, I didn't get out of the booth. I was swamped and constantly doing demos, and then I did a presentation up on the stage. Tabitha and I did. So, okay, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You guys have a great evening, and I'll be back next Tuesday. Okay, take care.